Starfield was supposed to be game of the generation, one that would redefine what gaming as a whole was, one that would see worldwide and critical success. But we got none of that. Starfield is not just a disappointment, it's a catastrophic failure in gaming. Imagine the worst game you've ever played. Now, multiply that by 1,000, and you might get close to how mind-numbingly awful Starfield is. And as you can tell by the numbers, people are simply just not interested in this shithole of a game. First, the storyline. It's so abysmally dull that it makes you wonder if the writers fell asleep at their keyboards. There's no depth, no intrigue, nothing that makes you care about any of the characters or the so-called plot. It's a complete waste of time and effort. Technically, this game's a disaster on a scale that we haven't seen, ever. Crashes, bugs, glitches. Bethesda has outdone themselves yet again in creating the most broken, unplayable mess possible. It's not just bad, it's embarrassing. How did this even get past quality control? Or did they just skip that part altogether? Gameplay mechanics are the epitome of blandness. Space exploration should be thrilling and adventurous. But in Starfield, it feels like a monotonous, soul-sucking grind. Every planet is a carbon copy of the last, devoid of any life or excitement. There's just simply nothing to do. It doesn't feel like you're actually doing anything. And there's just nothing interesting at all. The combat system is just a joke as well, like it was from 2005. It's clunky, unresponsive, and just plain boring. It seems like the combat in Starfield is the exact same as what Bethesda did in like 2001. Clearly, they have not evolved themselves at all. There's just absolutely no pacing to the story at all either. The game just moves at a snail's pace, making you sit through endless, tedious space travel, which is just a bunch of loading screens. And side missions, they're about as engaging as watching paint dry. It is an absolute sleep-inducing slog that kills any sense of adventure or enjoyment. And loading screens should just not be a thing in 2024, yet it's all over Starfield. And fetch quest after fetch quest is just stupid. And on top of that, the user interface is also terrible. The health and gun placement just doesn't make any sense. And there's just this massive circle to the left of you at all times that can't be removed or even modified. It's just terrible. I don't know how else to explain it. Just like the rest of this game. Navigating menus feels like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. It's almost like they designed it to be as user-unfriendly as possible. No one wanted to play this game anyways, and you're making it even harder to play? Come on. But what about Shattered Space, Starfield's first expansion? Surely, this can address all of Starfield's problems. No, it doesn't. Like Starfield, Shattered Space is incredibly safe and shallow. They don't do anything of substance yet again. The main quest is, without spoiling anything, short and boring. Well, I mean, it kind of is a spoiler since that's the whole game, isn't it? just goes for every other quest too. The writing is just as bad as the base game. The characters are bland planks. The plot hole is predictable and boring again. And while you do have a few story choices that are worth something this time around, you don't really have real agency on the direction of the plotline. Side quests are boring gameplay-wise and forgettable story-wise. It's nice that the new map is open and handmade, but it sure as hell doesn't feel like a handmade zone. It's just an open plain with some samey-looking POI scattered around. Despite being handmade, every part of the zone just looks the exact same. It's all purple rock plain. It feels like a standard Starfield planet with a bunch of POIs closer together. And the POIs themselves are just terrible. There's just nothing unique or interesting to it. There's barely any enemies. There's barely any new weapons. In fact, there's no new weapons at all. It just is infuriating how bad that they fumbled, because they really could have done something special. They could have at least tried to fix some of the problems with Starfield with this DLC, but they didn't. As for the content outside of exploration in the quest, it's mediocre too. In fact, bad, terrible, abysmal, mind-numbing. It's just the exact same. Nothing's new. Nothing's added to spice it up. And once again, there's no new weapons. So that's another thing. Why would you even do this? Why would you even do this questline? Why would you even do the DLC? And Starfield's combat is, once again, just terrible. So why would they make it even worse by not introducing anything new? To add on to that, the AI and the AI movement of the enemies is also still terrible. They really could have improved on that. That would have made combat just slightly bearable. Dazra, the main town as pictured here, is the worst in the game without a doubt. It's just dead, and that weird bubble thing in the middle of it has no purpose either. You know, it's just there because it looks cool. This whole city just feels, in fact, no, this entire DLC is just a complete ripoff. There's like 9 hours of straight slop, nothing interesting at all in this $40 DLC. Actually, it was $60, $60 US. And even comparing it to Bethesda previous DLCs, it just doesn't hold up. Starfield, no matter what they do, is just unfixable. And unfortunately for Microsoft, they're stuck with this company that just doesn't know what they're doing anymore. And of just, you know, just like Xbox, is just unmanageable and unable to do anything. And I am seriously considered. I am extremely concerned for the future of Microsoft as a whole. You know, they don't have anything of value to bring to the gaming division. You know, their major titles, like, you know, Psychonauts or Fable or Gears of War, are nowhere to be found. And as for Bethesda, no one knows when their next game is going to release. They don't have any major titles, so, and I know this is me going out of topic, but I'm just trying to be honest here. You know, Microsoft as a whole, they're just messed up getting Bethesda because they don't know what they're doing. And Microsoft, well, they don't know what they're doing either, so that really is just a perfect fit. And once again, they just don't have any major IPs. Like, what do they even have? You know what I mean? Like, all these big games releasing, Call of Duty, like Minecraft, Fortnite, you know, and none of those have anything to do with Microsoft. It just seems like this absolute shithole of a game that's called Starfield doesn't help them at all. And I feel sorry for Microsoft, honestly. You know, they're about to die just completely and just stop making technology, you know, because they just suck now, you know what I mean? And Starfield is the main culprit of that. For how absolutely shit it is. In conclusion, Starfield isn't just a bad game. It's an unmitigated disaster and insult to gamers everywhere. Avoid this catastrophe at all costs. It's just not worth your time, money, or sanity. What else can I do for you